text-to-voice synthesis provided by Vidnami. Posse Comitatus, State Assemblies, and Our Military Operations. January 17, 2021 by Anna von Reitz. This country has always been under martial law as long as anyone now living can remember. It started in March of 1863, so nothing has really changed, except that the actual military encampment is coming out of the closet where people can see it again. The Posse Comitatus Act was originally conceived as a means of outlawing armed bands of Union and Southern troops, which did not immediately surrender after the Civil War, and keeping them from raiding communities and continuing to war against each other. Later, it was a means to prevent large-scale intervention in local politics by military authorities, but as an act, passed by the Territorial Congress, it was never really more than a public policy of a large corporation, and as such, was easily changed by President Obama, who removed the fangs of the Posse Comitatus Act during his administration. What you and many others are seeing now is enforcement that was always available to the U.S. military, but wasn't spoken of. We have been living under a substantially foreign military junta for 160 years, and this news is just now reaching the American public. Is it cause for alarm? Not really. The U.S. military is still employed by us and staffed by our sons and daughters, albeit directed by middlemen, and their duty and contract is very clearly stipulated. If they want to keep their jobs, they have to protect us and our civilian government, which is no longer being represented by the municipal United States, now that we are presenting ourselves and operating our own state assemblies again. Our American government was never in constant session. After the Civil War, the authorities enabled to call our states into session were disrupted, and as a result, our American government wasn't called into session, and it appeared to be absent and in interregnum to the rest of the world. Just recently, in the last few years, we rediscovered this circumstance and a way to overcome it, so that the states and people have been properly summoned to assemble, and that has now been accomplished in all 50 states. We have also taken care of a bit of important housekeeping and formally enrolled all the states of the Union that have been created and entered territorial statehood since 1860. This means that all the states are present and accounted for and have full and equal standing as states of the Union. There can be no other legal presumptions of ownership, interest, or allegiance. As a result of our reappearance on the world stage after 160-year silence, the municipal civil government, which has been stealing our thunder and representing us in our absence, even though it is only a foreign subcontractor tasked with other duties, cannot claim to be the civilian authority to which the U.S. military owes allegiance. This is very fortunate for our country as a whole, as the municipal United States government has become an entirely corrupt plenary oligarchy, and both the American people and our U.S. military forces have been abused and used inappropriately for decades by these interloping municipal authorities. This whole circumstance opens up the opportunity for the U.S. military to make corrections within its own command structure, and it can now force the municipal United States government to operate in compliance with the Constitution of the United States and public law. Checks and balances are being restored and applied. It's all very good news for America and the world at large. Another aspect of this is economic and financial. During these 160 years, a lot of criminal malfeasance has taken place. The cats have been away, so the mice have played. Certain members of the U.S. military have been complicit in the pillaging and plundering that has taken place, but for the most part, the abuses have stemmed from the municipal government, which has accrued both massive debts and massive slush funds via a process of crooked bookkeeping combined with a sophisticated identity theft and impersonation scheme. The members of the same municipal United States government have benefited themselves and their corporations with all the slush, while impoverishing and cheating the members of the U.S. military and the old folks back home. Now that this circumstance and the reasons for it have been fully discovered and exposed, the criminal nature of the municipal government is apparent and has only been fully confirmed in recent weeks. Their plan to use injections of patented mRNA to unlawfully convert living people into GMO products that they could then claim to own as chattel property under current U.S. patent laws has been exposed for the outrageous criminal enterprise it is. Their attempt to manipulate and change the outcome of the most recent municipal government presidential election this past November 3 is also self-evident proof of the criminal nature of the municipal government and the widespread corruption it has promoted in other such governmental services corporations around the world. The corruption of the run-amok municipal government resulted in an oppressive top-down and predatory government with very little regard for law or for the well-being of the people it purportedly served. The reorganization of the municipal government to function as a commercial corporation and the similar reorganization of the territorial government in the years 1870 and 1871 not only promoted increased lack of accountability for the perpetrators but opened up the opportunity to abuse bankruptcy protections and expedite credit fraud. These practices have in turn caused the 1907, 1933, and 2015 debacles that have left millions of innocent people homeless, hopeless, and unemployed. We are no longer confused about what happened or who did it. We are no longer acting in the role of trusting sheep. We are awake and moving forward to control the runaway train and stop the incipient crime spree and to at long last, punish the perpetrators of these horrible crimes and breaches of public law and public trust. So don't be alarmed when you see American troops activated on American soil, and don't be upset when your military arrests politicians and other prominent socialites and corporate moguls. This is long, long overdue. Instead, pray for your country and for everyone throughout the world who has been harmed by this infestation of evil in our midst, and take up your lawful position as a member of the civilian government of this country, the American government, not the U.S. government, with pride and determination to see things cleaned up and set to rights. So long as Americans will act upon their responsibility to self-govern, will declare their political status as Americans, and join their state assemblies, the future is bright. Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net today and learn more about how you can safely, peacefully, and with lawful authority put an end to the criminality, oppression, and theft via impersonation and embezzlement that this country has suffered.